Hi everybody, welcome into a special. I don't want to say Broncos Europe because it's not just Broncos Europe, it's special. We got Broncos Europe, we got Arrowheads abroad. A special ahead of today's game, the Broncos and the Chiefs. Obviously, the biggest AFC West battle of the year, as far as me and Colin were concerned. But I think these gentlemen on to the side of us might have a different opinion. First of all, joined by Colin, joined with Duncan from Arrowheads abroad, and also you might recognize him, Brad, who is better known as the Brit Chief. He's a very passionate fan on Twitter. So, lads, welcome in. It's look, do you know what? Rivalry aside, it's a pleasure to have you in.
That's great to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Of course. And Colin, I think we can take our, be men about this. We can congratulate these young men on obviously a Super Bowl championship in February when the world was normal and we could actually go to games and.
Yeah. One. I mean, look, undoubtedly the best team in the league last year, but the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and then we've all seen what's happened since. Are the two connected? Who knows?
We broke the world. We broke the world. Tell you.
I have to say, I'm not gonna lie, I've got a bit of a soft spot, lads, for Andy Reid, but we'll definitely talk about that in a bit. Brad, I want to. Well, first of all, Duncan, were you in Miami in February? Because I don't want to leave you out of this conversation.
Yes, no, I went across with Brad.
Yeah. We're all there. Yeah.
So, lads, obviously, Brad, we spoke off camera. You famously won 2 tickets to Miami. So, how was that whole experience for you? Obviously landing over there and being like.
Well, I mean, it was definitely something like somebody was either smiling down on us or watching us or something like that, because it just felt weird because there was about 6 of us flew out, wasn't there, Duncan? And we all had this pact that if there was ever a ticket landed on our lap, you just take it and leave the lads alone. It wasn't like we're all in it together kind of thing. And we never actually thought that any of us would get anything like that. 2 free tickets was unreal, but it all came about because it was Tom and I. Tom, who was actually with Arrowhead Pride now. He's left Arrowheads abroad now, hasn't he? He's left it to you,
Johnny Big Balls, yeah.
Straight there. No, he's doing good things as Tom. And basically, what it was, we just won a radio station. It was like a Twitter competition. You just had to nominate who you would actually take with you to the Super Bowl if you got a chance, and which Coca-Cola product was your favourite. And we just did it. I think it was about 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, something like that, or a week before it might have been. And luckily enough, we managed to get 2 tickets out of that. So we were very, very fortunate. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be as lucky like that again. It was Tom actually who won the tickets, and he, obviously because he had my name on the tweet, he had to take me anyway, so he couldn't take anybody else.
Oh man, the vlog itself, I don't know if you've seen it, Colin, but the vlog of your trip was to be honest, again, rivalry side was pretty cool to watch. So that's an incredible experience. Duncan, I'm sure you still enjoyed Miami though, all the same. Obviously a great city, and even from sitting here in Ireland, it looked nuts that whole week.
Yeah, I mean, to think back now, kind of the notion that you can, at 2 weeks' notice, book a trip to go abroad anywhere just feels just as incredible. Anyway, and then I actually watched the championship game in the pub, and because we'd all been chatting obviously beforehand, so we'd seen prices of flights kind of going up as you get closer and closer, and so we were all booking as soon as the game was finished, because no one had the bottle to book it, even though we were home and hosed. No one had the bottle to book until we'd actually come off the field. So I was 6, maybe 8, maybe more pints deep at that point. So booking the flights on the phone. Got home. The first thing I had to do was check that I got the right thing booked for a start. Kind of the whole experience is very surreal. But being there was awesome, really awesome. We did the fan experience, which is just
amazing.
I guess like Disney World for football fans, really. They're filming Good Morning Football. Got the flags, our flags in the background.
Yeah, you could see as we were holding these flags up in the background of Good Morning Football and everything. You could see, obviously the crew, the TV crew were going, "Who's that lot behind?" The Scottish flag, there's the British flag, there's a Germany flag, and everything, wasn't there?
Yeah, we bumped into our members that we've never actually met in person, just wandering randomly down the beach. The beachfront, and then to watch the game, we just we kind of lucked out on this this bar on the beachfront, which was just set up as a Chiefs bar. They had we got there a tailgating length of time, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever, before kickoff. They had a bar, they had dancers on the stage, DJ. I don't think I'll ever do anything quite like that again. It was pretty special.
Duncan, with the greatest respect to both you lads, I hope you never have to do anything like that ever again. But, we will. I only mess. Colin, hopefully that doesn't happen. But sure, if it doesn't happen, sure, there's a couple of other, at least one more team in that division that can hopefully give them a scalping. Colin, you've obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but Colin's been a fan of the NFL for over 20 years, around that 20, 30 years. What's your opinion, Colin, on the Chiefs? Because obviously they've really come into it now, and I guess you growing up being a fan in the 90s. Early 2000s, and now obviously seeing pure pandemonium happen in the West, it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting about the rivalry is how the kind of pendulum has swung in over the years. So at the beginning, at the outset, like the Chiefs absolutely used to batter us. Like I think it was 25-2 at one point, and then the 70s and the 80s rolled around, and what's been interesting though is in the 90s and now, though obviously things haven't been going so well for us, but it has been the Broncos and the Chiefs who have been kind of splitting the division. So when the Broncos have been on the up, or when the Chiefs have been on the up, I've seen a couple of years ago, I was over for the overtime loss when Benny Fowler messed it up with a huge drop. Look, there's no getting away. They're an outstanding football team currently, and they have a really brilliant offensive mind in Andy Reid, and he has really brought the best out in Patrick Mahomes. And I suppose I'd be interested in hearing from both you lads, because we've seen what Mahomes has done in his time in the league. But like honestly, when he was, I mean, okay, his draft stock was rising when coming up to the draft, but no one foresaw this. What were your thoughts and opinions when you did take him in the draft?
I've got a bit of a funny story about that, because I was actually with Tom and Dave from Arrowheads Abroad at the time, and we were watching the draft together, and both of them were saying, you know, it was when the Chiefs moved up in the draft, both of them actually said, we're getting Mahomes. And I was like, no, we're getting this linebacker, what's his face? I forgot what his name was now, but we're getting, was it Forster? Might have been Forster. And I said, no, we're getting him. I was adamant that we were getting him. And then as soon as they mentioned Patrick Mahomes, I jumped up. I was going, I knew it. I knew it. It was certainly something that was needed at the Chiefs, because we hadn't obviously picked up a quarterback since, what was it, 20 odd years prior to that, you know, in the first round. And to finally get a franchise quarterback who we knew he had something about him, because we obviously knew that the Chiefs were talking about how they were talking about him, especially with Brett Veach afterwards, saying that, you know, this is the guy I really wanted. I've been watching him for years, you know. And it almost felt as though he was a right fit. You know, you don't normally get that in the draft, in many of the drafts, do you? Where you think, yeah, that's definitely what we need. But that's definitely what we needed, especially even though Alex Smith had an absolutely outstanding year. And even another outstanding year in Mahomes' first season, you know, we still knew that it was going to be Mahomes' time, and this kid's going to take us on to the next level. And it just felt wonderful to actually have somebody that you can say that everybody's looking at in the league at the moment. Such a fantastic player, and it's not just what he does on the ball as well. It's what he does, like, you know, off the field as well. The things he does, how he handles himself. He's just fits with the Kansas City mindset right from the off. He's an advertiser's dream. The fans love him. The players, you know, the NFL seems to respect him as well. He's everything. He's everything we've ever wanted, and long may it continue.
Duncan, do you agree as well?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I must admit, didn't watch it live, so I don't have the kind of instant reaction kind of story. And I guess it's really hard to not be revisionist, knowing what we know now, because I find it difficult. Trubisky gets so much stick, and I mean, it's easy to jump on the bandwagon, but no one really questioned that pick at the time. I mean, it wasn't considered a total reach. So it's, and you also had the fact that I really, really liked Alex Smith. And I still do. I love Alex Smith. Even more so, well, your respect levels go up the next level. When you see what he's come back from in the last couple of years. So you don't really want to move on from someone that you like so much. But by the same token, Alex Smith is going to have a ceiling, I guess, at that point. He's not necessarily going to take you to the next level.
Yeah.
And at the time, we didn't know if Mahomes could definitely do that. But I think the general feeling was that this lad had something extra that perhaps not even just Alex Smith had, that perhaps not many other players in the league could have as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I say because at that point we'd kind of, like you see, we've got Andy Reid, so we've kind of gone from the not being very good at all to get Andy Reid in, and it's kind of everything changes and everything's trending upwards, and it's all we're suddenly we're good now.
It was the missing piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're knocking on the door, but you need something else. Especially you've got in the AFC, you've got to get past teams like the Patriots, obviously, and it's we were just never going to do that the way we were set up. So I think it's all part of a progression. It's like Andy, he puts in the kind of foundations, and then the missing keystone is someone like Patrick Mahomes.
I think Andy Reid got everything he could out of Alex Smith, and I must admit I was a bit harsh with Alex Smith when we drafted Mahomes, because I wanted Mahomes in straight away. I'm not going to shy away from the fact that I was ready for Mahomes time right from the off. He probably wasn't ready at the time, and obviously looking back at it now, he clearly wasn't ready at the time, and he needed to sit behind Alex Smith to understand the game a little bit more and the speed of the game, and just understand how to handle it all. And Alex Smith, we've got to thank him a lot, really, for what he's done. For getting us literally out of the doldrums. He's the quarterback. I've always said that Alex Smith was a quarterback that steadies the ship, and then you can build everything around Alex Smith after that, and he will do a stellar job for that. And he's done that for a lot of years with the Chiefs. And we can't thank him enough for doing what he did during that time, and also just handling it how he did with Mahomes. He didn't. I mean, you hear quarterbacks in the past, don't you? You hear like Brett Favre saying, "I'm not going to teach this new rookie what to do. I'm just going to."
Joe Flacco as well.
Yeah.
That's the coach's job, ain't it? My job. He's going to try and steal my job. So, but Alex Smith, from what Mahomes is saying, is, he was the ever professional, and I'm so glad, I'm so happy he's back in the league now as well, and he got his first game back. But what a game to get it back with Aaron Donald. Poor lad, tell you what.
Brad, while you're chatting here, and I'll come to you in a second because it goes on to our next question. Brad, you tweeted out the other day, we finally face off. Some of the replies column to this tweet. One of them said, dog them. Then somebody said, send them home in a body bag. To which somebody replied, going, get him in a body bag. Yeah. And the Brit chief liked that. I'm only joking. But someone replies like, oh my God, there's such a rivalry. It's class to see the AFC West so stacked, I guess, to an extent in that sense. And it's going to have a great future. Obviously, Colin, with, the Raiders team in Vegas, Mahomes with the Chiefs. I'm not going to count the Chargers, Colin, because, I don't care about the Chargers. But, Colin, lads, Colin is all in Drew Lock. Now, this is why I want to talk about Drew Lock, because, lads, look, let's be quite frank right now. If a kid from Missouri was the quarterback for the Chiefs, Colin, they'd all be raving about him, yeah? 100%.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the thing is that, and you've outlined it there, guys, like Mahomes came in to a setup that was already established, right? He had a brilliant offensive mind in Andy Reid. The foundation had been set. And he came into a guy in Alex Smith who immediately kind of took him under his wing. Alex Smith got where what his role was, and I suppose that's testament to him and to Andy Reid's handling of that situation. Drew Lock, came into a situation where we've had so many OCs. We had Joe Flacco, who, despite what was said, wasn't elite and may never have been elite. I would argue he never was. And if Raheem Moore, had that 99 times out of 100, Joe Flacco never wins a Super Bowl and we don't hear about him again. But Locke comes in, I think, it's questionable. I wonder if Flacco isn't there, whether Locke ends up going on IR for as long as he does last year. I think Joe had a bit of an ego issue, and it was to kind of reassure him that, look, we're going to give you every possible chance, and they did. And well, we all saw what happened. He's absolutely awful. So to me, Locke has, I think when you look around the division and also the AFC, there's some really kind of up and coming kind of young QBs, and it's the swagger he has. It's like what you're talking about with Mahomes. It's a confidence without having the arrogance, because these are two guys who clearly put a lot of time into studying the playbook, into honing their craft. And I suppose with Locke, where we would have seen it last year, was at the end of that first game where Flacco runs by and Locke slaps him on the ass as he going by, and it was like that was the handing of the torch at that point. Now, he again had to go to, and I'm sure you guys were absolutely delighted with the way in which the game in the snow last year, and it looks like tomorrow is going to be another one in the snow. But obviously that was where he struggled. But I think if you were to, I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes level, but I think Drew Lock has not had it easy in terms of what he's had to deal with, the injuries he's had to deal with. But I am a big believer in a QB having a huge impact and their entire presence having it. And when you talk to people at Mizzou and what he did there for their program and the way in which guys responded to him, we probably don't yet, given the injuries, have the weapons that you do there. And I don't think our OC is quite what you have there in Kansas, and maybe we'll come to that later on. How long you think your OC stays, because he's certainly a man in demand. But I think if you were to look at who the Chiefs have had to face since Peyton Manning, be it Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Brandon Allen, I think
all elite.
He's the best QB you've had to face since Manning, certainly.
Which is, and I looked this up earlier, 1,865 days since.
Yes. I had hair when we won the Super Bowl.
But that's since you last beat us.
Okay, even better. Yeah. Even better. Well, like Duncan, Brad actually said on Twitter, Agent Locke. So do you believe? Let's even take it down to the level. I personally think Drew Lock has got potential. I think he's still a very young quarterback. Do you guys think, starting with you, Brad? Do you think Drew Lock is the guy to potentially maybe not lead the Broncos, but to be that quarterback for the Broncos if they make a stretch at the West in the next, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 seasons?
From what I've seen of Locke, obviously Mizzou, he's a good player. He's a decent player. He's got a good arm. He's quite mobile. He doesn't get sacked that often. And he's got that, like you said, he's kind of got that swagger about him as well. Calling himself Darth Vader recently, which was that was funny. That was funny. But he's a Missouri lad through and through, and I think Chiefs fans give him a bit of they're a bit easy on him. I think even though he's actually with the Broncos, because he does talk about being on the side of the enemy now, in the dark side and stuff at the Broncos. But he's taking it all in good stride, I think. He's got the right attitude, I think. And it's clear that, of all the teams that he didn't really want to be on, it's one that's going to be in the AFC West against the Chiefs. But I think he's a good player. I think he's like I said, like I said, he's got a good arm, but I think the setup just needs to be tweaked a little bit more, especially with, obviously, like you said, with the the offensive coordinators, the weapons they're probably getting around him. It's looking as though they're trying to give him that, obviously with Judy, arriving and everything. And is it Tim Patrick as well? He seems as though he's getting a good rapport with him over the last couple of games. So you can see there's something there, and there is a bit of hope there, I think, from the Broncos fans, that you might have this kid around for quite a long time, where you're not chopping and changing all these older quarterbacks that have either been journeymen or they've flashed in a season and then suddenly John Elway's thought, yeah, he's our guy, let's get him, and then it's been an absolute flop. I think if you stick with him, if you stick with Drew Lock, I think you're going to get some mileage out of him for sure.
Duncan, do you believe in Drew Lock, or are you going to be completely honest and say he's rubbish, or what?
I think. Well, like someone mentioned, Agent Lock, and I believe
Agent Lock, yeah.
Well, I believe he's got, I don't know what's the delicate way of putting this, history with Gracie Hunt, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe they've dated in the past. I don't know how it ended. I don't want to comment on. Only time will tell, I guess, just where his allegiances lie. But I think that, like you said, I quite like his swagger. I like a quarterback with a little bit of attitude. I saw something, I think you guys tweeted out recently, like he was asked, how does he wander about downtown KC? And he says he just sticks his Broncos shirt on. And I quite like that, right? Because what was he meant to say? No, out of respect for the team that my childhood team or whatever, that doesn't go down well with fans. I quite like that. He's just puffed his chest out and said, no, I'm here for it. I guess he's got to back that up now. And I think that there's two parts to that. And like you said, he's probably had a tough start. I guess injuries wise, I think you guys are been a bit bashed up over the last week. He's probably not played with all the toys he's got yet. And I think that what it also takes is, like Brad said, you need to put the weapons around him, and you need to have a bit of patience as well. Mm-hmm. A guy like Drew Lock's not Lamar Jackson, right? So he's not just going to stick the ball under his armpit and run for 30 yards if there's nothing on. That's not his game. And so he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. It doesn't matter how good his arm is, because you're not going to get very far. And I guess you've listed all the all the turnover of names that you've gone through. It's going to take a bit of patience as well, and maybe you just need to accept that there will be some misfires and some tougher performances to watch, because you've got to get a bit of time to learn how to play the game.
Absolutely. And Colin, it's like being a Manchester United fan, like me and you, Colin. We're almost used now to disappointment, and we're good at patience, I think, so far. But I tell you what, we've been very pro Lock, especially the last 12 months. But it's been a hard enough start to the season for us. Obviously, okay, I don't want to be the guy Colin says injuries, but it's been pretty shocking. I think there was one point there, the first 3 weeks, where there was somebody down every couple of hours on the Monday morning. It was absolutely ridiculous. But you're very pro Lock, Colin.
I am, because we've gone through the list, and I think you have to give a young guy a try, and I think he brings you, just a different attitude, and I think that is a huge issue. And I think we talked to Karl Mecklenburg yesterday, and I think one of the things that you saw right with Mahomes as well is what's interesting. Just because you weren't the number one pick, right? There were people picked ahead of Patrick Mahomes, but would anyone pick anybody ahead of Patrick Mahomes right now? Transitioning to the NFL and playing at a consistently high level is really difficult. Attitude is a huge part of that. For me, if Drew Lock doesn't end up being the guy, it's not going to be for want of mental toughness. It's not going to want for preparation. He has all those. We just need to give him a try. And he hasn't had the opportunity, I feel, to have a run with an OC and to actually play without injuries. I mean, the hope, I suppose, is that the rest of this season he stays upright and you can actually see what you have, because you do. It needs time. I mean, we talked about the Patrick Mahomes and having that time. So for me, hopefully we have some players coming back for the game, and it looks like Lock's going to have more weapons today, and that the Chiefs are actually going to face a Broncos offense that probably is a little bit more dynamic, not at full strength because still without Sutton, but certainly more dynamic than I think they will have faced in 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely, lads. And obviously, a massive game today. Broncos, Chiefs. 8:25 because the clocks have went back. Thank God. Like, I don't have to go to work on Monday, lads, but that is just beautiful. That's one thing we can all agree on. Let's look at the AFC West so far, gents, before we talk about the snow game and we talk about our picks. But obviously, the Chiefs, I don't want to say run away with at 5-1 because they'll be 5-2 by Sunday night. But the Raiders sitting 3-2, and obviously the Chargers sitting 1-4. So the Broncos 1 game off the Raiders. Look, I'm going to say it now, in the hunt for a possible wild card place. I am not going to publicly state anything stupid right now. I'll just say that 2 wins in a row. Just start with yourself, Duncan. How have you found the start? Obviously going into, was it like what, week 7, week 8? So it's been messed up for us because the Broncos had a week off already. So
yeah,
going in tomorrow, just going into week 7 today. Sorry. How have you found the start of the season? Obviously for the Chiefs, obviously they've lost 1 game. I actually watched the Chargers game and I was impressed with the grinding out of the results, shall we say, at the end. It's definitely been an interesting season, especially for a Super Bowl champion. Are you surprised with any team, Duncan or Brad? But just start with you, Duncan. What's your thoughts so far?
I give us a solid pass so far. I think if you'd asked anyone, would you take 5-1 at this point, we'd have all said yes, considering we've played the Ravens, the Texans, 2 divisional games, and the Patriots, right? So you've got 3 playoff teams there and 2 divisional games. You're never going to win them all. I think that it would have been nice to beat the Raiders, but I think 5-1 is wholly acceptable as a record. I don't think we've hit our stride yet as well, which I don't know. I can't decide in my head if that's a good thing or not. It feels like we've got another level to go to. I just can't fully decide if it's just a tiny bit concerning that we're 6-7 games in now and we've not got to it. Mm-hmm. I think that the Raiders game, we've all said it, might have just come at the right time, just to kick up the backside that the team needed to know that you don't just walk on to the field and come away with a win. You give any team 40 points in this league, and it doesn't matter who your quarterback is, you're going to struggle to come off with a win. So, solid pass for me so far, but room for improvement.
Brad, I would happily take 32 points. I know he scored 32 against Raiders. I'll take 32 points today against the Chiefs. That's all right. Is that all right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Raiders game, I mean, it was one of those freak games, wasn't it? The Chiefs had to be playing really badly, and the Raiders had to be playing really good. And, even still, there was a 1-score game, 8 points, whatever it was, between them. Fair play to the Raiders. They came with the game plan. It worked. But like I've said before, a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while, doesn't it? So, they've hit lucky this time. And I'm looking forward to taking them back to Vegas and just giving them a real good ass kicking. But that's by the by. We're talking about the Broncos now. But the AFC West, yeah. I mean, it's been an interesting start to the season because there was a lot of us, and I know Duncan's put a bet on with this as well.
Yeah.
We were all saying we're going 16 and no problems, nail it down. So and Duncan actually just went, yeah, I'm putting some money on that.
I might have gone I might have gone the full 19.
Did you go the full 19? Oh man,
my God, Duncan!
It was a minor. It was speculative, shall we say? It was a minor.
Yeah, it was one of those things. We had a bit of swagger about us. We were thinking we're unbeatable, that kind of thing. But Duncan's right. The game against the Raiders, they probably did us a favor. And I never liked talking about the Patriots much. But the Patriots game where they played the Chiefs in 2014, I think it was, where we benched Brady, we beat them 41-14. Apparently the dynasty was going to be over with. The Chiefs have actually ended that, that kind of thing. And it was that kind of game that kind of gave the Patriots that much needed kick up the backside. And I think that's what the Raiders game was. It was certainly a wake-up call. It hurt. It really hurt. And I hope it hurt the players as well, as much as it did for the fans, because it's that rocket fuel that we needed. And we saw it against the Bills. The Chiefs looked completely different. I actually said I was actually bored with the game because the Chiefs actually found a running game, and I wasn't used to that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire obviously threatened by the fact that we've got Le'Veon Bell appearing, and I think he thought, you know what, I need to really make a case of myself here. And like I said, I thought it was a boring game because I'm so used to seeing Mahomes just pinging left-handed passes or dimes down the field 80 yards. It just seemed very different. But we've seen every game this year so far, we've seen a different side of the Chiefs, and I think that's the thing that gives myself and obviously Duncan that bit of unease, because we can do it. We can switch it on whenever we're feeling it. We can switch it on and we can do it. But now and again, you just get that little doubt in your mind, and that was definitely the Raiders game, because we just did not show up for that game, but yet still scored 32 points.
Well, Duncan and Brad, you're both going to love this one. I'm about to say, Colin, we had this discussion last week. The Broncos against the Titans in week 1 and the Steelers in week 2. They lost by 2 points in week 1. Arguably shouldn't have lost that game because they had timeouts. In week 2, they had the ball with 2 minutes to go and completely banjacks the whole thing. We could be sitting 4-1 going into this game today, which kills me. But it's been a weird start to the season, Colin. There's been injuries. Our coach forgot to time out Colin week 1. I mean, did they carry over to the next game, or it's just that it's like, you're talking, Brad, about turning it on. I wish we could turn it on half the time, because Colin, it would be nice if somebody over there, our kicker, could score for the next day.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Broncos team that doesn't tend to score too many points, but that doesn't tend to give up a huge number of points. I think even and this is where it's going to be interesting. This is a real measure of where we've come in, because last year we really struggled against the Chiefs. We just did not score at all. Kelsey was monumental against us. He just ran all over us. I think he was 260 or something like that over the 2 games. It's going to be interesting, because we're looking at a snow game, and you're looking at a Broncos defense that has a much different look than it has done under Fangio previously. We have begun to blitz a lot more, still remaining very strong against the run. And I mean, other than Alexander Johnson missed a tackle against Newton last week, and Newton went on. He ran most of the length of the field before they got him out. Outside of that, I think it would have been a case where, again, Derrick Henry the Patriots would have been another team who Derrick Henry had more running yards against. But the run defense is very good. It's going to be interesting. There's been a lot of talk about AJ Boye and him missing, but because we've barely seen him, and because Bryce Callahan has come in and Michael Uchimudia has played really well, the secondary's done a decent job. Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. This is the big test now to see how they can line up against Kelsey. I suppose I'm interested in the thoughts of the two guys to see what it is that you're expecting, in terms of the game and how you expect the Chiefs to approach this one.
Do you want to go first, Dunk, or me?
I'll go. I wonder if the conditions will dictate that somewhat. I think last week everyone was kind of saying, what's happened to the Chiefs? Have they abandoned the air game? I think it was the most yards on the ground that we've ever had under Andy Reid, something like that. And I think that's as much as the conditions as anything else. Horrible rain. You don't want to risk the ball in the air too much. I think we played the conditions as well as anything last week. So I don't necessarily think that that's the yardstick to say that we are now a ground and pound team, even if we have just signed Lev Bell. I think it's more a sign that we are maybe just drifting towards a more balanced approach.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps Edwards-Helaire, our rookie running back, is maybe he's just added. That's something we spoke about, missing pieces. He's just maybe added that something that the running back room didn't have before, and they've maybe just got that little bit more confidence in him to give him the ball and give him more carries. But like you said, Travis Kelce has caused you guys all sorts of bother in the past. Sunday, I believe, is I didn't know this existed until this week, National Tight Ends Day.
Mm-hmm.
Real thing, apparently. I hope you've all got cards for your mother and everything. I don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, all the tight ends will have the mic be mic'd up. I wouldn't be surprised if he's keen to flash as well, because he'll get plenty of screen time in the kind of week after that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's looking to get his hands on the ball as well. I mean, I guess the answer is I don't know what specifically the game will be, because I think we've got a more balanced approach now. And I think that we can hurt teams, not just you guys specifically, but I think we can hurt teams in a number of different ways now. And that's probably what to me, that's what gives me confidence looking through the season, that we do have all these weapons now.
It's like what I was saying before. The Chiefs seem to have shown the different sides over these last 5 or 6 games, and they seem a bit more adaptable. And we never really had a running game last year. I know we had obviously Damien Williams, but it wasn't the kind of fearsome running backs that we've got now. So the Chiefs have got that. It's like picking your poison again, isn't it? You hear that phrase quite a bit with this Chiefs team. Pick your poison. Are you going to try and stuff the run between Edwards-Helaire and Bell, or are you going to try and take on Tyreek Hill, Kelce? The weapons that we've got there. Obviously, Harden's got some speed. Robinson seems to have a good connection with Mahomes as well. I know we've got Sammy Watkins out, which I think kind of hurts our air attack a little bit, because Watkins is very good off the ball. He's a bit of a menace and gets himself open quite a bit. So it'd be interesting to see what the Chiefs are going to do in this game, because like Duncan said, we've got the ground game now as well, which it suits obviously the snow conditions, but then you've got a Mahomes who seems to think that everything slows down for him. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that mic'd up where he's like, I think I'm a snow game guy, because everything just seems like it's all in slow motion to him. And obviously his mind, his brain, it calculates everything that's going on. If everything's going at slow motion, he's going to find a way to pick that apart, isn't he? So I'd hate to be a Broncos defensive guy at the minute, and trying to work out, are they going to go air? Are they going to go ground? Are they going to go speed? Are they just going to keep grinding it out? Your guess is as good as mine, and I'd hate to be having that decision right now.
Colin, before you give your take on this, lads, I actually think this is the week where do you know what? I was in Arrowhead Pride today, and I have to say, some of the score predictions, lads, I mean, one of them was like, hold on, one of them was the Chiefs 38, Colin, Broncos 17. Now, yeah. You said, Duncan, about tomorrow being National Tight End Day, yeah? We've got Albert Okwuegbunam. Never mind, Noah Fant. I think we've got okay. Obviously, Drew Lock needs to ball out to even stand a chance in this game. I'm not going to start this whole conversation, but I think we've a lot of power in that offense. You got Melvin Gordon, Colin, Philip Lindsay that it might have that Chiefs defense going, what's going on here for a second, especially. And look, lads, we're talking about snow games. I know we struggled last year, but we had snow games in Denver a few years ago. That Patriots game, albeit a different team, a year in which we won the Super Bowl, had a completely different agenda, I guess. But we have that experience. We still got Brandon McManus there, Colin, who's going to hit about, well, the record's 9, isn't it? So we need 9 tomorrow. 9 threes or 27. So that and one maybe like an interception or a pick 6 could get us to 34. I think, Colin, this game is going to be closer than a lot of people think. Do you know what, Frigga? I'm going to say the Broncos are going to win, but I'll give my score prediction in a second. But I think it's going to be a lot closer. I'm really putting my head in this now. But Colin, do you agree, or do you think it'll be a whitewash, or what?
No, I as I said, I don't think too many teams put a beat down on Vic Fangio team just because defensively we're very strong. I think one thing that hasn't been talked about is the fact that Mitchell Schwartz is out, and I think that's actually a huge loss. I think Brad, was it you who asked me the question earlier in the year, who would I take off of the Chiefs roster? And I said him, and I meant that because I think this is the first game he's ever missed in the league. The first he walked in to Cleveland, he started 16 games, and every single season he's played a full suite of games. I think it's going to be unusual for Patrick Mahomes not to have him there. We know sports people are superstitious. We know they like the same things every week. It's a comfort blanket, so it will be a little bit different, I think, for them. I think Patrick Mahomes is obviously good enough to overcome that, but I do think it a lot will come down to how much interior pressure the Broncos can get. Mahomes drops a lot, and he's dropped this year possibly more than he even did previous. So without Schwartz there, and I believe you're potentially missing a guard as well. So there could be some changes on that Chiefs line, which should give the Broncos some hope. Shelby Harris is having a career year, and he's playing for a contract. Big Shelby's going to, get his hands up there. So I think that it is, and in the snow. I mean, look, you don't have to go back that far. You only have to go back to the Tim Tebow era for a 7-3 game. A 7-3 game. That's not what I'm expecting, but I don't think this is going to be the sort of shootout that you saw the Chiefs engage in with, say, they have done with the Patriots or with the Rams or others. It's going to be a hard fought battle whatever way it goes. So I think, look, the reigning Super Bowl champions who don't have the level of injury that we do, they are certainly favorites, but I don't see 38 points being put on this Broncos team.
I think Colin's right. Actually, the game is definitely going to come down to the trenches, I think. The Chiefs' O-line's been battered up. And we've got Allegretti in there, who played actually quite well, didn't he, Dunk, against the Bills? He's at left guard. So we've got a bit of a problem there at the minute, and that kind of problem was exposed a little bit against the Raiders, especially when Assembly went out and he blew out. Who blows out both tendons in one sitting? I mean, that's
mad. That's
bad luck, isn't it? I mean, that's really bad luck. But we've got some decent players in there. Remmers is in there as well. So I think I'm quite comfortable, especially from what I saw against the Bills. That the O-line looks okay. It looks decent, and I think it would be able to hold up in the trenches a little bit. But like you said, Mitchell Schwartz missing. It's almost like a mirror image where you guys have got Von Miller out, haven't you? It was nice seeing them two having a bit of a battle, a few seasons back, and. I hate seeing injuries like that because you're missing out on these like power battles that you really look forward to seeing. Is it going to be one on that side? Is it going to be one on this side? Is it going to be offense? Is it going to be defense? And missing out on big players like that from both sides, is very difficult. But yeah, the Broncos injury list is, it's not been great, and I think they've done so well. They've done well so far with the players they've got, and it's only going to benefit them further down the line, especially for these young players that are getting the starts now. Moving forward, I think the Broncos are young enough, and they will get that experience, and especially playing against the Chiefs in a snow game, that's going to be that's just going to be more ammunition for them later on down the line. But I keep going back to Agent Locke. Saying Agent Locke. Agent Locke's got it in him where he's kryptonite. He can't beat us. He's not allowed to beat us.
Ooh. I tell you what. On that point, Brad, start me then, Duncan. Give us your score prediction then for tomorrow or for today.
I did a video for us earlier today, and I plucked 36 out of my head, and then I thought, how do you get to 36? And I couldn't work it out in my head. But then I realised that our kicker has a sclaff in him, so I've got 36-24 Chiefs. He'll miss an extra point or two. I don't know how you get to 36, but that's where we're going.
No problem.
12 field goals, right? Is that right?
Yeah, Brad, hold on now, Brad. Be honest here, yeah. You're not going to offend us, so go for it.
Score prediction. 28-14 seems to come out of our mind here, but I think what's going to happen is you guys will give us a bit of a scare again. Mm-hmm. I think you guys will race off to a 14-zip lead, and then it's that kind of game with the snow. It's a crazy kind of situation. But if you guys manage to get the ball first and you put some points on the board first, especially with the conditions, I can see that starting off as the Chiefs having a bit of a rocky start, but. As soon as Mahomes gets his eye in and this offense is clicking again, and I think the running game is going to be quite key in this. It's not going to be, long balls all the time like you see quite often from the Chiefs. I think it's going to be the run game again, and it's going to be the 1-2 punch with Bell and Edwards-Helaire.
Colin, give me some optimism, please.
Well. I already when we did the season preview, I said that we win at Arrowhead this year, and I still maintain that happens. I don't think I think the Chiefs win today's matchup, but I think that the complacency will see them lose at Arrowhead later in the year because Drew Lock is going to want to prove a point. I think it probably is 28-21. I think that the Broncos won't have the drops that they had last week, but the Chiefs have added Le'Veon Bell. You would expect that he will want to show what he can do, and I think that in the snow, once it's in a player's head, right, that they play particularly well in certain conditions. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It's like when Tiger Woods went into a Sunday, like prior to everything happening, right? When Tiger went in, he genuinely believed if he was in contention on Sunday, that was it. And it's in Mahomes' head that he plays brilliantly in the snow. So I would expect that they squeak it out. But I think the Broncos will learn a lot from this, and I think that the young players will come on a lot. If you want to take some optimism, eventually it's due, and it has to happen. I mean, if you go back, you look at, say, it's happened with the Broncos in the past, where they've gone into games against the Chiefs and kind of been on long winning runs, and everyone expected it to win. Divisional matchups, you want to give your opponent a bloody nose. So I just think they will have too much. There's too many players still just finding their way back from injury, and with with Drew Lock just back, I think the Chiefs will have enough, given they're such a formidable outfit, to win it.
I'm glad you see me to the end. I think we could potentially call him. Do you remember what Tottenham? You remember what happened to Tottenham and West Ham, 2004, 2005, the food poisoning incident on the last day of the season, and they couldn't play. I'm only messing. Something along those lines. I know we can't get into the hotel with COVID and stuff. Look, let me be quite frank. I mean, on paper, the Chiefs should win by about 30 points. Again, infamous quote: "The game is not played on paper." So why not? Why can't the Broncos go out and beat the Chiefs today? Why not? Like, the Chiefs, yeah, they've got a formidable quarterback who's going to be the quarterback for the next 8 to 10 years at the very, very least, and ruin our lives as a group for the next 8 to 10 years. But I know eventually we will have a quarterback or a team as good as that in that period, and they will have to lose in Denver and in Arrowhead to the Broncos at some point. Why can't it be today? I mean, the Broncos have got guys like Shelby Harris and Justin Simmons that are playing not for contracts, but for careers. They want to earn big money, and Shelby Harris has been incredible the first few weeks of the season. Yeah, like there's so many players that are under the radar in Denver. Jeremiah Tachu is playing great. I just think, lads, there's a chance. If Drew Lock can go out and even give it a go, in the sense where he doesn't throw any picks and can convert a number of third downs, which didn't happen last week. He was throwing the ball far too far or not getting it off to guys like Judy or Fant enough. I think it's going to be a close game. I have the Broncos, and I'm going to regret saying this, I know, but I have the Broncos winning 21-18 in the snow. I think Le'Veon Bell will not have a good game. First game back first game with the Chiefs. I think Gordon and Lindsay are going to run it. I really do. I think Locke will just hand the ball off a lot. But I'm sure the Chiefs will be ready for that. But call them 21-18. 21-18.
I would love if that's the case. I think if you can hold the Chiefs under 20, you're in with a phenomenal chance if you can make that happen. I hope you're right. And
you're even money column -7.5. The Chiefs, lads, even money -7.5 the spread. So I don't know if you guys want to. We're not sponsored by betting shows, but 21-18.
Not yet, anyway.
I call it Chiefs win, but I think I agree that it's not. This isn't a gimme.
No.
The Chiefs, and not by any stretch of the imagination. If we don't play well, we're not going to win this game. And I tell you,
if you don't win, Duncan, I don't want to say it blows the West open, but in terms of the divisional matchups, in terms of the record there, it does make it interesting in that sense for other teams. So maybe there could be a lovely divisional game in an empty Arrowhead in January, Colin. We could sneak over the border.
Just remember, if we don't play well, we put up 32 points. So just bear that in mind.
Against the Raiders.
Well, look, I mean, I think we can all agree. We all hate the Raiders here, but I'll say this, lads, like the content going out from Arrowheads abroad, even if you're a Broncos fan, give them a follow, because I think we've got the best division in football. We've got the best fan groups in football at the minute in our division, definitely. Duncan, Brad, we massively appreciate you coming on today, lads. I hope you don't have a good night tonight, but sure, look, at the end of the day, you're loving life. You got your Super Bowl jersey on there, Brad. I think you got the same one on as well, Duncan. So I'm just crying too much right now, already, lads. Here, lads, hope you enjoyed the game. Like happily, we'll do this again for the game in December. Where Colin thinks we're going to win. So I don't know. Guys, it's a pleasure. Enjoy the game, even though Sky don't think we're important enough to actually show. So
it's okay. Game Pass is on there. At least I'll be able to use my Game Pass this year.
Well, I think, lads, the New England Patriots could go out with nobody on the field and Sky would still show the game. So
they would.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Duncan, Brad, and Colin, lads, thanks a million, and enjoy the game today.
Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you very much.